Modern football simply doesn't stop. Between league games, cup ties, European nights, international breaks, and half-made-up tournaments, the calendar is bursting at the seams. It's no longer enough to have a world-class starting 11. If you want to survive, let alone win at the top level, you need something more. You need 2 full squads ready to go. In this video, we'll have a butcher the impact caused by modern-day football, why squad depth has become the non-negotiable for success at the highest level, and how it's affected clubs' transfer market strategies. PapaPincus here with FourFourTwo. Let's talk about it. So why do clubs need 2 squads? Well, to state the obvious, the football calendar is absolute chaos. A club competing in all comps can play up to 65 games in a single season. That includes 38 league games in most leagues, up to 15 in the Champions League if they reach the final, domestic cups, pre-season tournaments, and more. When you average that out, it's a match every 4 or 5 days for 10 months. I mean, just ask Pep Guardiola about it. In Man City's treble-winning season back in 2023, they played 61 games. Not just competing either, but dominating. They did it by rotating heavily, sharing the load, and having depth in every position to keep themselves fit and fresh. For example, in the Premier League, they used 37 different lineups in their 38 games. And not because of an injury crisis, but because they could. Because their schedule demanded it, and because they had the quality in personnel that meant changing players or positions didn't lead to a drop in standards. In comparison, Arsenal fielded just 22 different lineups when they finished runners-up that season, making fewer changes to their lineup than any other Premier League team, because when they did give their bench players a go, they went out of both domestic cups very early on. Same can be said for Liverpool last season, where one decision to play a couple of youngsters and a few fringe squad players resulted in them crashing out of the FA Cup to Plymouth, while their best 11 consistently sliced through the Premier League, week in, week out, as Arne Slot used the second fewest amount of players throughout that campaign. While there is an argument to be made that rotating a squad and keeping it fresh could interrupt the fluency and consistency of a team, having the option of squad depth today is just non-negotiable. With these busy schedules, no player, no matter how elite, no matter how talented, can stay at their peak across 60+ games, with constant travel involved too. All of this inevitably leads us on to one of the biggest disruptors in modern football: injuries. According to the UEFA Elite Club Injury Study, elite clubs suffer about 1.2 injuries per match. Typically soft tissue injuries, the kind caused by overuse and fatigue, have increased by over 20% in recent years. And clubs competing in 4 or more competitions have an 18% higher injury rate than those playing in 2 or fewer. Look at Liverpool in the 2020-21 season. They were the defending Premier League champions, but injuries completely and utterly destroyed them. Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez and Matip were all out with long-term injuries. Henderson and Fabinho had to play at centre-back on multiple occasions. In total, Liverpool used 20 different central defensive pairings that season. The result? They scraped into the top 4 thanks to a winner from their goalkeeper, but their title defence was gone by Christmas. Now compare that with Real Madrid in the 2023-24 season. They lost Courtois, Militao and Alaba, 3 key defenders, all to ACL injuries. But thanks to squad depth and tactical flexibility, they adapted. 𝗘𝗫𝗓𝗧𝗏 filled in at centre-back. Carlo Ancelotti reshuffled his system without reducing the quality, and they still won La Liga and the Champions League. And that's the difference. One club had to sacrifice their identity and collapse under pressure. The other had a second wave of players ready to step in. Successful teams rotate their squads strategically. The best clubs aren't just playing the same 11 week in, week out. They're distributing minutes to 18 or 20 players consistently. So with all those stats in mind, let's talk about what a successful squad actually looks like and how teams go about assembling one. Firstly, it's an obvious numbers game. You need the bodies in there. But not just any, you need first-team quality players who can slot in without dropping the level. On average, title-winning squads feature around 18 to 21 players who log at least 500 minutes over the season. These aren't bloated squads, they're cleverly constructed teams where almost every player has a clear role and a genuine impact. But But second, and most importantly, clubs need to strike the right balance between bringing in multiple of the same style of players, but also having a variety of tools in the box to adapt and surprise. For example, some clubs are now so committed to a specific playing style that they've actually started recruiting players who are stylistically identical to their starters, almost like clones. The goal isn't just to have cover, it's to keep the system ticking even when someone drops out. Look at Arsenal, for example. They're eyeing up 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗧𝗏, not just because he's got talent, but because he plays almost identical to 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗏. Left-footed, direct, hard-working, and positionally disciplined on the right-hand side. Newcastle doing the same thing by signing Anthony Elanga, whose high-pressing, electric pace and counter-attacking style lines up neatly with what Anthony Gordon and 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏 bring. It's clever recruitment, building a squad where the machine keeps running, no matter who's on the pitch. It's not about signing superstars for the sake of it. It's about having ready-made replacements for both now and the future. Barcelona are a prime example of how to attack recruitment from both angles. After years of big-name spending and faced with financial issues in previous years, their 2023-24 season was bolstered by breakout talents like Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsí. A good academy pipeline turned their 25-man squad into a 30-man rotation machine, without spending a penny of their transfer budget. In the 2024-25 campaign, those youngsters became starters and shining lights. It's a win-win. The clubs that lift trophies in May aren't just the strongest, they're the deepest. They can rest their best players, rotate effectively, and shift tactics on the fly. They survive the full 60-match grind and come out thriving. So next time someone says a team doesn't need another midfielder or a backup winger, remember, modern football is a 60-game war, and to win it, you don't just need a strong team, you need two. But even that might not be enough, because while clubs are busy trying to manage this relentless schedule, there's something they have absolutely no control over, and that is the international calendar. These aren't high-stake qualifiers or tournament deciders, they're meaningless games dropped right in the middle of a brutal club season, like potholes in an F1 track. You've got players clocking 60 games a year, giving everything to fight for league titles, cup runs, and Champions League glory. And then suddenly, they're flying to Moldova to jog around in a half-empty stadium for a friendly no one cares about or remembers. And yet, the consequences, they are very real. Pulled hamstrings, rolled ankles, torn ligaments, all because someone played 82 minutes in a game that quite literally means nothing. Just ask any fan who's watched their club season unravel because one of their best players came back from international duty with an injury. Odegaard. The risk to reward ratio is completely off. There is no reward. And this isn't about disrespecting international football, by the way. The Euros, World Cup, AFCON, Copa America, these tournaments matter. They're sacred. That's where the magic lives. But these drop-in friendlies during the season, they make me sick. So maybe it's time to evolve. Maybe it's time to protect the product and, more importantly, protect the players. Modern football requires squad depth, sure, but it also requires some common sense. And until something changes, clubs will keep waging war across 60 games whilst holding their breath every time an international break rolls around. Because in today's game, it's not just about building a great team, it's about surviving the chaos that happens outside of your control. So what changes would you make to the football in Canada? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time.